football.
Now on Mackey and Judd.
You wanted better charts that you could see the fine print on.
The pie chart of praise.
You should be singing his praises.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
It's the first pie chart of praise of the Vikings season. A dominant at times, but also shaky at the end victory over the now 0-4 Houston Texans. Judd Zolgad, we'll start with you. What is your pie chart of praise for a Vikings victory?
I must go to my notes written on my incy-bitsy notepad. All right.
Yeah, what happened to your larger notepad?
Yeah, what happened to the large one?
They've got them out here.
Keys, take it.
I've switched it up. I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
I've switched it up, okay?
Right, just trying to be more.
I'm not going to talk about if Keys intimidated me, pushed me around, and took my notepad, okay?
I feel like you went from the Brad Childress notepad to the Bill Musgrave notepad here.
Okay, I'm going to
try to be more efficient.
I'm going to do it
with
the notepad over my face so you can't see my mouth. All right, I'll start from the bottom and work my way up. 5% pie chart of praise. I'm actually going to give two 5% pieces in the pie chart of praise. Eric Kendricks, who on a bad defense is still just great. He broke up that one pass where Deshaun Watson didn't run, and I don't know why, but it was still a great play. He made a ton of tackles. Like, this guy has gone from playing with a lot of guys who were probably just his peers to being the best guy almost certainly on that defense, and he continues to play well. 5% pie chart of praise, because I don't feel like I can really praise the defense that much, but I think he deserves some credit. 5% praise. Thielen, 8 catches, 114, 5% though, which might seem low, but that's because I got a 20% piece for the next guy who is the reason why. And Adam Thielen seems like a great guy, so I don't mean this in a bad way, but I wonder if he is to the point where at night he gets down on his knees and says a prayer of thank you. He's been blessed with Stephon Diggs and now Justin Jefferson. Again, Thielen deserves credit. He's turned himself into a really good player. I'm not denigrating what he brings, but if he's the sole act, right? He's okay. He's good, but he's not great. But I mean, you go from a transition of Diggs, who's fantastic, to, man, 2 games. Jefferson's going to be used more to the last 2 games. He's been great. So 5% to Thielen, 20% to the aforementioned Justin Jefferson. 4 catches, 103 yards. I mean, this guy's tracking to be a star. I know it's 2 games for the most part, but what do you see where you guys stop and are like, yeah, that's sort of fluky? Like, this guy is, to me, this guy is tracking to be a star. And the next time he's going to get frustrated is when he realizes Kirk needs to get him the ball more, which Kirk does. Kirk had a post-game quote yesterday about Jefferson made a great catch, and he said he turned to a teammate and basically said, this guy can play. Hold on a second. No bleep! He can play. Oh, you deign that he can play? Justin Jefferson, 20%. 20%. So I'm going to be halfway through my pie here. This is a very Zolgad pie. Bill O'Brien.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
I can't ignore it. It played a huge role. He can't call plays. He can't coach. If DeAndre Hopkins is on that Texans team on Sunday, they win the game. He did everything. It's the hat trick of ineptitude.
You know, somebody on so we do Vikings Vent Line live on the Purple Daily Podcast YouTube page and across SKOR North social media. And again, it was great yesterday. We brought fans into the video. And so if you're missing out on it and you're wondering where to go on the radio, youtube.com/Purple Daily Podcast. And one of the commenters, I think it was after we had gotten done with the live portion, one of the commenters after the fact, I was going through them this morning, ripped me up and down for calling Bill O'Brien a moron. He's like, I don't know if it was a Texans fan or what, but like, I think you're going to regret that. I don't think you want to be calling, smart football people like Bill O'Brien a moron.
Smart.
I am very comfortable.
Double down.
Very,
Double down. Do it again.
Very comfortable.
Do it again.
Calling Bill O'Brien a football moron. And when we say football moron, like, does Bill O'Brien have a better chance? Is Bill O'Brien a better football mind than like your average Joe Blow high school coach? Of course. This is all when we call like, Kirk Cousins a below average quarterback in key situations. Like, is he better than like a Division II college quarterback? Yes, we're talking about within the curve of NFL coaches. Yeah. And if the curve is Bill Belichick up top And whatever the bottom is, guys like Bill O'Brien are near the moron part of that scale. Okay? I feel very comfortable with that assessment.
Good for you.
Sorry to hijack.
Double down.
Oh, no problem. In fact, I'm going to Google right now the phrase over his skis. And I'm going to go, oh, look, it's a picture of Bill O'Brien.
When you Google Bill O'Brien,
Yeah.
What do you get?
the second thing that pops up for autofill is chin. So I don't know. That's a rabbit hole for another day.
The Rock knows how
All
you
right.
feel about pie.
Make fun of someone's physical
Speaking of pie,
appearance. That's
yeah.
a glass house. I'm
Yeah,
sitting
let's not do that. Okay, 50% left. It's all going to one guy, Dalvin Cook.
Mm-hmm.
So Cook had a career high at 181 yards rushing against the Titans, and Jefferson was great. And the Vikings lost, so I felt that got lost, which is fine because Jefferson, that was his breakout Moss-like game. Okay, but there's no denying Dalvin Cook. If this team is going to win games, and I don't think they're going to win a ton, but I think the ingredients of a Viking victory in 2020 is what? Possession time. Because if you give the offense the Vikings defense consistently, it's going to wear down, and it's not good. Bad combination, right? Cook ties a career high 27 carries on Sunday, catches a couple passes as well. So we're up near 30 now. 130 yards and 2 touchdowns, broken tackles. Dalvin Cook is absolutely, I think if there's a starting ingredient to what the Vikings wins, Declan and Phil, are going to be this year, it starts with him. So I go Dalvin Cook, 50% of my pie.
Mhm.
Bill O'Brien, thank you very much, 20%. Justin Jefferson, 20%. And then a little bitty 5% piece
The
for
Rock knows how you feel about pie.
Adam Thielen and Eric Kendricks. That's 100%.
All right. I like where you're going there. I'll give you my pie chart of praise for the first Vikings victory. 10%. Coobs for putting together a great offensive blueprint in this one. Now, some of this, the reason I'm only giving him 10% is because some of the Vikings' offensive success is predicated off of things that don't involve the actual game plan. It just kind of involves like the dominoes falling the right way and Kirk playing well and this and that. But I think if you're to drop the perfect Vikings offensive blueprint in any given week, it's lean on the opponent with the running game and then leverage play action, Kirk Cousins' biggest strength, to hit big plays down the field in the passing game. And when you come out of the gate and you're running the ball and you're using play action to find Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen on the first series, that is a good sign early on. And it feels like there aren't that many blueprints for a Vikings offensive, like, driven victory. Like, this is the one that works.
Mm-hmm.
If it's get behind and let Kirk Cousins throw the ball 50 times, like, that blueprint doesn't work very often. Even if it's like, go shotgun 5 wide and try and take advantage of picking apart a defense, like, that doesn't really work. It's run the ball, play action, and just kind of keep that balance back and forth. And Kubiak did a good job.
Grind, right? Like grind the game, basically.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yep. 10% to Mike Zimmer. I mean, let's look at some of the chess pieces he's playing with right now. For God's sakes, Hardy Nickerson's kid was starting at linebacker for the Vikings yesterday.
Yep.
He's missing an elite pass rusher. He's just suffering injuries all over the place. Not to mention Harrison Smith gets ejected in the first half of that game.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's just so many different things to overcome. And Mike Zimmer put the chess pieces in the right places for the most part. It got a little bit shaky toward the end. And I'll give credit to Cam Dantzler and Jeff Gladney. There was a couple of shaky spots. Gladney got torched on a play down the field for like 40 yards. But overall, according to Pro Football Focus, Jeff Gladney was the second highest rated Vikings defender in that game yesterday.
Really?
Yep, behind only Anthony
wow.
Harris. Anthony Harris was great.
Okay.
But Jeff Gladney, it was the top performers on defense were Anthony Harris, Jeff Gladney, Shamar Stephan, Odenigbo, Eric Wilson, and Cam Dantzler were your top 6 in that one. So think about that hodgepodge of rookies and backups and guys that are just being asked.
Less than ideal. That list, less than ideal, probably.
And Mike Zimmer is taking those sort of, I don't know, faded chess pieces and making them work.
And telling Coobs what's what.
Exactly.
Coobs, you know what? Coobs. Just go, Coobs, go ahead and do your thing this week.
20% to a guy that I have given the majority of the pie chart of blame to so far this year, Kirk Cousins. Made some big-time throws, comfortable in his play-action element. And there was a couple throws, like that one where he rolled out to his right and was kind of fading away from a pass rusher and threw it up to Kyle Rudolph.
Mm-hmm.
in the moment, I was yelling, no. Okay. All right. Nice catch. Awesome, everybody. So Kirk Cousins with some big boy throws in that game. He did what he had to do, and he didn't train wreck the game with bad interceptions like he has a couple times this year. So 20% praise to Kirk Cousins. 20% praise to Bill O'Brien being a buffoon, especially down the stretch where the Texans are clearly gaining momentum and they're waking up and they're realizing, oh my God, we have Deshaun Watson. He can move and he can make plays and throw the ball down the field. And Bill O'Brien steps in and he's like, actually, I know we're down by 2 scores here in the fourth quarter, but let's hand off to Duke Johnson up the middle 9 times. Like, what is he doing? The way that they milked that clock, if they would have gone no huddle offense and full speed ahead against that Vikings defense with no Harrison Smith, no secondary pass rusher, and just really put the screws to that defense and tried to get them winded by going up tempo, I think they would have won the game. Instead, they huddled on every play. They ran the ball just as often as they threw the ball, and they basically gave themselves no out to even like kick a field goal or anything. So
he had a terrible day.
It was a bad sequence there in the second half of Bill O'Brien. But 40% of my pie chart of praise goes to the trio of skill position weapons that the Vikings have in Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, and Justin Jefferson. That is a Ferrari. And any quarterback would be lucky to give the ball to those 3 guys. Any coach would be lucky to scheme with those as your chess pieces. And I just think there's probably only a short list of teams in the NFL that would even consider not swapping for those 3 guys. Like, I think that's one of the best trios of offensive weapons in the entire NFL.
Jefferson and Cook are stars. Thielen's a very nice player, but I mean,
that's fair.
Jefferson looks like a breakout star. I think they got this one as right as they got Treadwell wrong.
Yeah.
Like watching this guy play, there's nothing I see where I'm like, well, that's going to be adjusted to.
And it really, like, you watch Stephon Diggs and everything that Buffalo's doing, and we'll get to some of the things we learned about the NFL on Sunday. And you look at Stephon Diggs just thriving in Buffalo, and it's like, oh my God, look at the Vikings let that guy go. Right. But Justin Jefferson makes it a lot easier to swallow because he might be as good as Stephon
without
Diggs.
him. Can you imagine the feeling right now of Diggs' abandonment?
Yeah, it would feel terrible.
Oh.
Yeah. So there it is. 10% Kubiak praise, 10% Zimmer praise, 20% Kirk Cousins, 20% buffoon Bill O'Brien, and 40% to one of the best trios of weapons in the
The Rock
NFL.
knows how you feel about pie.
Dex.
All right. Well, I couldn't go 100% Bill O'Brien, no matter how badly I truly, really wanted to do so. So I'm glad you at least included him. But I'll admit it. I'll omit Bill O'Brien from this just because he already is a buffoon, and I don't want to give him any praise for this game. So I'll start with Kirk Cousins. I'm going all offense for this piece of pie. It's an offensive piece of pie. Kirk Cousins gets 20% of the praise. It was Kirk's best game of the year. He got sacked a few times. It was kind of still felt like classic Kirk Cousins to a degree, right? The stat line looked good. He had a good day on the box score, but there was still some moments where it got a little too close for comfort, and he wasn't able to rise up and move around. And also, what's up with the 3-man rush? Like, is it really just the offensive line is bad, or is it your quarterback is such a statue that you can't figure out how to slide around the pocket and do something?
I'm happy you brought that up because everybody just immediately blames offensive line every time there's a sack of any kind in the NFL. Oh my God, there's a 3-man rush and it got home. And sometimes that's the case. Sometimes an offensive line train wrecks and Drew Samia gets forklifted off the line of scrimmage, and like that definitely happens with the Vikings. But that there was one, I think it was the first half. It was I think it was early in the game, and Kirk Cousins takes that sack, 3-man rush. And if you watch that play again, it's much less offensive line getting dominated and much more, okay, a pass rusher was sort of coming around the edge and Kirk could have literally stepped up anywhere or over or left or right. Watch Tom Brady, watch some of the other immobile, statuesque quarterbacks that really have a great feel in the pocket. And they'd make a step over here. They dodge. They just kind of sort of sense where they need to go to keep the play alive. And he doesn't do a good job of that. So Kirk Cousins makes the offensive line look worse in those situations than it really is.
And he's also the frustrating thing. And we saw this on the second half sack he took right before he completed passes to Jefferson and Rudolph was go back. And I think Brock Heward and Jennings both pointed this out on the telecast. he's got throws to make. So he takes the sack because he basically wouldn't pull the trigger on a pass to Jefferson, which would have been a tough pass, but was there. But he's paid to make that pass. So like that ball can't not get out. And if you get picked, that's a problem too. But like you don't get in March a 2-year, $66 million extension, guys. You don't get that to not make that throw. Mm-hmm. So like that throw has to be made. It's either picked, incomplete, or caught, but you can't be holding the ball on the ground. That's you, not them.
Yep. Okay.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
Before I get into the pie, can Brock Heward also get some praise? Because I loved his commentary yesterday. I thought mostly this commentary cruise we've been getting, and rightfully so, when you're 0-3 or 1-3, you're going to get the D squad commentary crew. He was awesome. The whole game, he was just savaging both teams, especially in the first quarter. It was hilarious.
It actually, this was going to be one of my nitpicks when we get to Vikings nitpicks in a win, was going to be 2/3 of the broadcast crew was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like it almost felt like Greg Jennings, who I think is good. He's been good as like a talk show analyst when I've seen him on as a talking head.
For sure.
But it's like it almost seemed like he didn't prep for the game or something. And he was just kind of out there, once in a while he'd chime in with some like obvious thing. And Brock Heward had clearly been studying these two teams for a week.
Yeah.
And started the game off just ripping both teams up and down, which was great. They both deserved it. Yeah, I thought Brock was great.
And I also wonder if just the 3-man booth plus a sideline person it's not necessary. It doesn't feel organic.
It's a lot of people.
Back to the pie, though. Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen will get the same amount of the piece of the pie. I'm going to give 25% to Jefferson and 25% to Adam Thielen. So Adam Thielen obviously had a big day, but yes, you need Justin Jefferson for Adam Thielen to be effective. It's like Hall & Oates, man. You can't just have one of them.
Wow.
They need to be together. Yeah, that's a Hall & Oates reference. Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. And Adam Thielen maybe needs to work on some dance moves, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So 25% of the pie goes to those two. By the way, those two are the number 1 and number 2 wide receivers through 4 weeks from Pro Football Focus.
Oh, really? Across the whole NFL?
Across the whole NFL.
Wow.
Number 1 and number 2. Justin Jefferson also being number 1.
It's amazing.
Interesting. Okay.
So those are your top 2 wide receivers in the league right now.
Woo. And
then the final piece of pie, 30% to Dalvin Cook, because everything starts and finishes with Dalvin Cook. I'm not a fantasy football dude, but if you have him, good for you, because I got to imagine he's like the top back in the league right now, even with the Vikings getting off to a slow start. He finds his way in the end zone. He's gone over 100 yards. The guy's an absolute beast. So going over the pie chart of praise again, Kirk Cousins 20%, Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen 25%, and then Dalvin Cook gets the largest piece of the pie at 30%.
Dalvin Cook is indeed by 90 yards the top rusher in the NFL
it's
so
by
far
90
this
now.
year.
Okay.
424. The next closest, Nick Chubb, has 335.
Give him the football.
Yeah, man.
There's one thing quickly I would like to bring up from what O'Brien did, but it's not to rip O'Brien more. But as a football fan, I would like to call, if I could have picked up my cell phone after the game and called Football Welfare Services, I would have liked to get Deshaun Watson out of Houston.
Okay.
I think this guy's really good, and I really like him. And when he's going well, like he is a guy who can transform games, that is malpractice there, you guys. Like watching that is really sad. He's too good to be playing on this team for this guy in particular. Like his skill set should get you off your couch, and he looked lost, and I probably just don't blame him. I felt really bad for a guy who should be like a top 10 type of star, I think, in the league.
I don't like him as much at $40 million, though.
Oh,
That's
sure.
the thing. Like,
but don't you like want to watch him do great things? I ordinarily do. And it's like this guy right now, I don't think he knows which way is up. And I think that's probably his coach.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him.
So his contract doesn't really start to bloat until 2022. Mm-hmm. That's when the $40 million cap number kicks in. And so this year and next year, he's still a reasonably priced quarterback, especially for how good he is at $10 million and $60 million. And I think, not that I give a rip about the Texans, but if you do give a rip about the Texans, it is pretty sad to see that his rookie contract and the window to build a great team around him is going to expire. Mm-hmm. And then in 2022, you're probably going to have a whole new GM, front office, coach, and their job is going to be take a guy who's making $40 million and build a roster around him. So sorry, Texans. It's tough luck for you.
I don't like red zone stars being ruined. Like Deshaun Watson should be a must red zone watch. And right now, he's not close.
Yeah.